In the previous video, I covered why I am focused on the RWA sector, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the altcoin with the best risk-reward in the category, and that's IXS by IXS Finance. You can find a lot of information online about the coin, the project, and the team, so I won't be covering these details here. What I'll do instead is to highlight how IXS Finance has cleverly positioned itself for the coming RWA bull market. The key context behind my thesis is that crypto has changed. In prior cycles, we thought the whole world would eventually come to crypto and participate in our on-chain universe. What the industry eventually discovered, however, was that crypto on its own did not actually have many major use cases, and we suffered because of it over the last couple of years. So my thesis is that crypto has to pivot and assimilate itself with the rest of the world in order to survive and thrive. This is the context to keep in mind as you move through the rest of this video. Now, RWA is a large sector with many subsectors. So let's focus on the largest subsector we saw in this chart, which is stablecoins. So as crypto natives and crypto native institutions, what do we usually do with our idle stablecoins? The answer is clear. We usually deposit it into some protocol to earn a stablecoin yield. For example, right now on Aave, the stablecoin yield is about 3.3%. Now the problem with transacting on-chain is that there are a lot of risks that are present that are not present in a normal TradFi system. For example, we have smart contract risk, self-custody risk, rug risk, unstable yields. As you know, in DeFi, the yields are never stable and they tend to fluctuate up and down depending on what's going on in the market, which is not conducive for longer-term planning. And lastly, a lot of the yields offered by DeFi protocols give the yields in altcoins. And as you know, over time, these altcoins tend to go down in price. So these are a few of the major problems that stop people from coming on-chain. And as I mentioned earlier, what we want to do is to cater to the rest of the world instead of just to crypto natives, because that is the only way that the crypto industry can survive and thrive. Now let's say we have another product that is made available on-chain. Here we have some treasury bills, corporate bonds, money market funds, and private credit. So these are securities that have been issued by the major TradFi institutions. And let's say these are made available to everyone on-chain. So you can choose to have your stable coins in a DeFi protocol earning roughly 3.3% with all of these risks, or you can choose to put some of your money into these securities earning around 4 to 12% without having any of these risks. Which would you prefer? I think the answer is quite obvious. Most of us would prefer to put our stablecoins into these securities. And most likely, so will the rest of the world. Because keep in mind, many people around the world still do not have access to these securities because they are regulated here. That is why I put it in red outline here. Many people are not able to access these securities due to regulation. Okay? But this will be changing very soon because this is where IXS can come in to fulfill the needs of both sides over here and here. Okay? So let me tidy up this diagram a little bit. Okay? So traditionally, crypto natives and the rest of the world want access to these securities, and these financial institutions want to sell these securities to as many people as possible. But due to regulation and due to a lack of Web3 tech, the business connections, the industry connections, as well as the experience, that couldn't be done in an acceptable way. At the same time, crypto natives and the rest of the world want access to these securities, but they couldn't because of regulation. And now IXS Finance has the licenses, the tech platforms, the business and industry connections, the distribution platforms, which I will talk about shortly, and also the experience of being able to link these two big parts together. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more about distribution. The thing about RWA projects is that anyone can tokenize assets, but unless you have distribution channels to be able to sell those assets to people who demand them, then your project is quite useless. And this is where IXS stands out from its peers. It has the largest distribution channels among all RWA projects. For example, it is an official BNB chain partner, which gives it access to the entire Binance ecosystem with more than 300 million users across the world. It has also an official partnership with Line App with over 200 million users, as well as being a founding member of Union Chain with 200 million KYC users across 4 major sectors across Asia. So these are the confirmed partnerships so far. And it is also holding talks with institutional networks, with high net worth individuals, family offices, SEXs, DEXs, fintech companies, neobanks, PayFi companies, etc. So these in grey are not yet confirmed but are ongoing. These have so far been confirmed. Now let's go one step deeper. As you know, we have seen significant developments in the field of AI, and that is coming into crypto very soon. What this means is that both these groups of people, crypto natives as well as the rest of the world, will be using AI to conduct their financial transactions, especially those that happen on-chain. Now, the thing about AI agents is that they don't have access to TradFi accounts, so even if they wanted to invest in these securities, they wouldn't be able to. And that is once again where IXS can come in. Another thing to note is that AI agents are estimated to have about 100 to 1,000,000 times more transactions than a human being. So the bottom line here is that crypto natives like you and me and the rest of the world, as well as AI agents, will all have access to these securities through the IXS yield layer. Now, let's go one final step deeper, because so far we have only been talking about stablecoins, and there will eventually be all other asset classes from the TradFi world which will access this IXS yield layer to reach the demand over here. Okay, so this is the big picture positioning strategy of IXS. It basically is the yield layer sitting between these TradFi institutions and all of their securities and the rest of the world who wants access to these securities who could not previously have access to them. Alright, so this pretty much wraps up my video. I would encourage you to do your own research into the team of IXS Finance, the official partnerships they have, the people who are backing the company, as well as their advisors. Very importantly, I would recommend you also check out their tokenomics, because this coin has, in my opinion, the best tokenomics I've ever seen in a legitimate project. Let me just take a quick scan over here. You can see the market cap is just about 10 million, fully diluted. All tokens have been released. There are no more VCs involved, and this is highly attractive in my opinion. Okay, so that's all I have for you in this video. Thank you for watching. I hope this video has been useful. Take care, and I'll see you next time.